Yo, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy Xehther here, back at it again to drop a brand new series. This being, what if Naruto was a Saiyan? Now, I know that a lot of YouTubers, or a lot of what if YouTubers, have done this series before, such as Anime Sage, Tylearn. I believe Anime Junkie did this series at one time, but that being said, a lot of people have obviously done this series. However, I figured it was about time that I gave my own personal take on what if Naruto was a Saiyan, and you know, Saiyans are broken, so you know that I had to do this. It's right up my alley. That being said though, this series is going to be a lot different than the other series you guys have heard, and my route towards making Naruto a Saiyan is going to be a lot different due to the fact that with the brainstorming for this series, I had a mental brain fart during that time. So with that being said, you guys shouldn't get too spoiled before the video even gets started. So I'm not even going to say no more, and we're just going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so we start our story off a little bit different than how I usually do my normal Naruto what ifs. We're basically going to be starting on the day of Naruto's birth, because a couple of things are actually going to be changing in this version of events. See, the number one change is obviously going to be what you guys see on the thumbnail, Naruto's hair color. See, in this version of events, Naruto's hair isn't going to be what we got in canon. It isn't going to be blonde because Naruto will be a Saiyan. However, it is not because of Minato and he was a Saiyan before him. No, that's not going to be the reason. The reason is because Naruto is the reincarnation of a certain somebody that we all know and love. This person being Goku, or, you know, if you prefer this one, Kakarot. That being said, you guys are probably like, yo, hold on, Xehther, how did that happen? Well, to chalk it up, and the simplest explanation I could probably give to you guys is honestly just on Goku's final moments, he wished to be reincarnated, similar to how when Boo died, Goku was like, hey, I hope someday I can fight you again, like as a reincarnation. Goku basically wished to be reincarnated and be able to fight again in some sort of way. And so King Yama was listening, and he gave the man his wish. However, not in the same universe or, anything at all. So that is basically how Naruto is going to be a Saiyan. Because originally I was going to go down the route of basically making Minato a Saiyan, or go down the route of sending Naruto to Earth as a Saiyan child inside of a pod. However, the thing with that would be that Naruto wouldn't be Naruto. He would be Goku if I was to do that, because, well, for starters, who would basically save the Shinobis if I made Minato Naruto's dad? And if I didn't make Minato Naruto's dad, then Minato would be down on Earth, having Naruto. So therefore, Naruto would already exist in the world, and it would just be weird, I didn't want to make anybody else in this entire series have the abilities that Naruto has, which is why I decided to go down this route. Honestly, if I thought about it some more, I probably could have figured out a different way, but the reason that Naruto's a Saiyan isn't really going to be that relevant for the series, so if you guys are kind of bothered with it, just hang on with me. Alright, hang on with me. That being said, this is when we're going to be switching perspectives back to the day of the Nine Tails attack. See, in this version, everything is basically going to go as you guys would expect. Everything that basically happened in canon would still happen as it did, and Naruto's only real change is going to be that his hair is black. Now, that being said, this is when I'm now going to be picking the story right off, right when Naruto is 4 years old. See, in this version of events, the story is going to be changing quite a bit actually. Because, well, for starters, in this version of events, Naruto does not possess any chakra. See, when Hiruzen tried to teach Naruto even the basics of what chakra was, he realized that Naruto had absolutely zero access to chakra. Therefore, he kind of just put Naruto on the back foot and just kind of stopped caring for him as much. That being said, this basically led to Naruto trying to access chakra until he realized that he just had no control over it. He had absolutely 0 ounces of chakra in his body. The only chakra that Naruto did have was the Nine Tails, and the only way he's going to be able to use chakra is through the help of the Nine Tails. That being said, This would basically lead to Naruto turning, 4 years old, and it's around this time where Naruto basically is told to the village that he is the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki by none other than Danzo himself. That being said, this is when Naruto would basically finally start that rough life that he lived in canon. This is when Naruto, I'm just going to be saying that Naruto will be about 5 years old, and he had just started, living this rough life as a child. But this is when one day things will suddenly change. See, on this particular day, Naruto would be walking across the streets after doing one of his regular pranks. However, in this version, Naruto doesn't have the ability to run from the top of buildings just like he did in the original because, well, no chakra. Or wait, actually Naruto did that without any chakra control. So no, yeah, Naruto's basically still going to be a prankster just like he was in the original. However, in this version of events, Naruto will actually end up getting caught by somebody. On this certain day, Naruto decided to mess with two specific Chunins who he should have not, I repeat, not have messed with. These two would be Chunin level ninjas, and they would immediately catch up to Naruto once he tries to run away. They would immediately start beating Naruto up, and Naruto would just start getting angered by this. This is when Naruto's first rage boost is going to be coming in from being a Saiyan. Many Saiyans have this ability, it's just that a lot of them don't really use it as much. That being said, this is when Naruto would look at the Chunin and ask them why they treat him like this. What's so different about him than everybody else? The Chunin would then look at him and they would be about to say what the reasoning is for Naruto, being treated like this. However, before they got the chance, Naruto's aura and the area surrounding them would begin to change. Naruto would start shaking and gritting his teeth as he would say, "Why?" And he would punch a hole straight through one of the ninjas, as Naruto would immediately kill that man, and he would then turn his attention towards the other Chunin. As he would start rushing at his direction, he would immediately take out a kunai and throw it straight at the back of the man's neck, as it impales the man, and the man falls. He straight falls down to the ground. There is absolutely no hope for this man after that. Naruto just he obliterated the man, and yeah. That being said, this is when Naruto would finally snap out of it, and he would then look at his hands as he would realize, wait, did he just use chakra? This is when Naruto would rush back home, as he would go heat up a bowl of ramen, and he would then start trying to mimic what he had just done. He would try to use chakra, he would try anything and everything that he basically can to use chakra, but everything that he's trying, such as hand signs and anything like that, it would be completely useless. And Naruto would basically just be thinking that maybe he's just really bad at controlling chakra. He'll have it some other day. So here's what Naruto does. He would basically decide that, he'll just try another day. And this is when a couple of months would go by. And after months and months of Naruto trying to access chakra, he simply wouldn't be able to. This is when Naruto would get to the point where, he would of course save Hinata as a little kid, and Hinata would end up, of course, loving our man's Naruto. That being said, this would basically lead to Naruto essentially getting angered after, he gets beat up by the bullies and the kids who were picking on Hinata, and Naruto would, of course, get pretty angry at this, he'd get pretty upset. This would lead to Naruto punching a tree, and the tree, it would get hit with a key punch. After this, Naruto would then see, wait, I did it again. And at this point, Hinata had already ran away from Naruto due to the fact that the person who was taking care of her was like, oh no, it's the demon. I don't know if I can even say that out loud. But yeah, they would basically say that, and Naruto would just be like, yeah, whatever, just leave, it's fine, don't say thank you or anything, it's not like I saved you. But Naruto would just sit there and just be like, well, whatever, what can you do? And it's at this point that Naruto would basically proceed to start just living a normal life, I guess you could say. Or no, I'm so dumb, that's not at all what he does. He basically proceeds to stay in the forest, and he tries and tries and tries to create something with that energy that he felt flowing through his body. This is when Naruto would decide that maybe the key to unlocking this power isn't through rage. Maybe it's something else. Naruto would finally decide to sit down and just relax. Naruto would breathe. He would start breathing in and out. He would close his eyes, and without knowing it, Naruto would begin to start meditating. It's at this point that Naruto would start channeling his energy, his ki, and Naruto for an instant would begin to float off of the ground. Naruto, seeing this, would get excited and lift his hands as he's like, yes! And it's at this point that Naruto would fall back to the ground as he's like, oh my god, I can't do this. Naruto would then spend the next 3 months until he finally gets the hang of flight. And it's after this that Naruto would basically realize that maybe he doesn't have chakra. This is when Naruto would kind of just be like, well, I don't have that, but I have something better, or at least I can make it better. And Naruto would spend the next couple of years essentially trying to practice on using ki. Now, this would lead to Naruto having a little bit of a time skip, to which it's going to be up to the day where Naruto is 12 years old. He has basically been practicing his chakra control from the age of 5, I believe it was, all the way to the age of 12. So Naruto definitely has a very decent control over his ki. At this point, Naruto has learned to use his aura with ki, where he basically pushes it all out and makes everything blow away, where he's like, ah, just bam, just everything explodes. Yeah, he learned how to do that. He learned how to shoot small ki blasts. He learned how to fly, and he even learned how to enhance his hits and kicks with ki. That is basically what Naruto has been learning during this time. And Naruto basically is now going to have 4 years left to continue to learn how to use his abilities, because in this version I'm going to be aging up all of the characters. And instead of having them all start off their stories when they are, well, 12 years old, I'm going to make them all start when they are 16. Due to the fact that Naruto needs time to learn how to use ki. And just being realistic, he's not going to get that by the time that he's 12. It's just not going to happen. I mean, Naruto could probably put up a good fight, and I'd say he's about high tuning level, or even higher than that, maybe like low tier Jonin. But I mean, that's really basically all Naruto is at this point. He's like a low Jonin tier-esque strength, which is, it's not bad, but it's not, as much as I would wish that he was. At this point, Naruto's drip and the way he carries himself would change a lot more than it was in canon. And this is when Naruto would basically just be getting ready, seeing as their Ninja Academy stuff is all going to start when they are 13 years old, because in this version, things are going to be a lot different. However, one more thing that is going to be a lot different is the timing of the Uchiha Massacre. That is going to be happening little bit later than it did in canon. See, if it happened when Sasuke was in the academy, then I'm just going to have it where Itachi does that to him when he was in, when Sasuke gets to the academy in this version. So yeah, that being said, Naruto would basically just be going home after one long day of training, when Naruto would actually walk by a shop. And this is when Naruto would look inside, as he would see that there's a bunch of weapons inside. Naruto would begin to peek his head in there, and this is when the lady would look at him and she would say, "Get out of here, fox!" As she would throw a katana straight at Naruto's direction, Naruto would immediately step aside for the weapon and he would just pick it up as he starts running away from it. And the lady would rush after Naruto. She's like, "Hey, get back here!" Naruto would pay absolutely zero mind to that, and he would decide that, yeah, he gonna dip, as Naruto would grab that sword and dip straight home. This is when Naruto would decide that maybe a little bit of sword training is something that he can basically, get a little bit of a work on. So Naruto, during these next couple of years, will decide that, he's going to do a little something. He's not only going to be training in ki control, he's also going to be training in kenjutsu, I believe it is. I believe kenjutsu. Let me look it up. I'm not positive if that's the name of, yeah, I think it's kenjutsu. Kenjutsu, maybe? If it isn't, a lot of you guys are probably going to be like, dude, are you dumb? And I'm just going to be here like, yes. Kenjutsu. Yes, I got it right. For the first time, I finally got it right. Anyways, yeah, Naruto would basically be learning some good old kenjutsu. Now, this is when Naruto would, of course, by this point, finally be 16 years old, as I'm going to be having a little bit of a time skip. After all of this time, Naruto's ki control as a Saiyan would be very, very potent. And Naruto in this version of events is not actually going to have a tail. He's just going to have the abilities of a Saiyan and the potential to transform into a legendary Super Saiyan. But that's not going to happen until way later on. If he even needs it, probably won't, but you know, we'll see. That being said, this is when Naruto would basically, actually no, we're gonna go to when Naruto was 14. All right, I know I said 16, but take that away, you know, scrabble that all away and just say 14. Naruto will be 14 years old, and at this point Naruto will have a very decent handle over using the sword, the way of the sword. Naruto in this version, his drip is going to be a lot different than the one that we had in canon. See, at this point, Naruto's drip changed. It's not what you guys see on screen, because that's basically what Naruto would be repping when he was about 12 years old. The one that you guys see on the thumbnail is a 12-year-old Naruto. However, now that Naruto is 16, his demeanor, his appearance, it's all going to change. After these last couple of years, or the 2 years, Naruto developed some pretty great skills for, you know, using a sword. Naruto is actually a little bit of a genius when it comes to using it, seeing as he mastered the way of the katana in about 2 years, or as much as you can master in 2 years, right? He would have been very adept at using it, and Naruto's physical speed and strength is off the charts. Naruto's speed at this point is very broken. Not only that, but Naruto fights in a one-handed sword style where he basically uses like he slices and he can shoot ki blasts at his enemies. If you guys remember Trunks, that's basically what Naruto fights like. He legit fights just like Trunks. I probably could have just made Trunks Naruto's reincarnation, but I don't want his hair to be purple, so we're gonna stick with Goku, okay? That being said, this is when Naruto would basically proceed to go inside the academy for his first day. A bunch of kids would immediately look at Naruto and they would just be like, look, it's that kid. They would all begin to basically mutter to each other, and this is when Naruto would see that there's a pink-haired girl and a blonde-haired girl who are just sitting there muttering, just like, I'm gonna sit next to Sasuke. This is when Naruto would look towards Sasuke's direction, and Sasuke would give him a little bit of a stare of just, help me. Seeing as Sasuke at this point hasn't had any of the bad happen to him just yet, Naruto would decide that, you know, he'll help him out. He would sit right next to Sasuke and just say, hey, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Sasuke would look at, you know, Naruto and be like, the name's Sasuke Uchiha. Thanks. As it's at this point that Sakura and Ino would look at Naruto and just be like, hey, you can't sit there. That's our Sasuke-kun. Sasuke, you know, they would all just be really annoying. And this is when Naruto would look up at them, as he would give them a stare of just, if you don't GTFO, I am going to literally chop you into a million pieces. And Naruto would put one hand on the sword that he has on his back, seeing as they both know that, you know, you don't mess with Naruto, because this version of Naruto is a little different than what you expect. See, this version of Naruto, his drip, let's get into his drip. I forgot to mention that. Naruto's drip is basically going to be some casual, you know how the shinobis have those, like, he's basically going to have the Kakashi pants. You know, he's going to have the Kakashi pants, and Naruto's going to be wearing a hoodie, similar to in the last, where Naruto was just kind of wearing a hoodie, kind of like that. However, Naruto's hoodie is going to be red, which kind of contrasts with everything about him, and he's going to have like a katana pouch, or a sheath, I believe it's what it's called, and his sword on his back. He would of course be wearing some drippy, very, very saucy, you know, white shoes, because your boy love wearing white shoes. Just, you know, thought I should throw that in there in the video, even though nobody asked, but you know, it's all good. Anyways, that being said, that's basically Naruto's drips. You know, some pretty fire black pants with, you know, the pouches and the kunais and all that stuff. Red hoodie, which he always has the hoodie down, and he only kind of puts it up every now and then. But yeah, it's basically Naruto's drip. This is when Naruto would basically turn towards Sasuke's direction, as he would say, why are they so annoying? Sasuke would look at him and be like, beats me, I don't know, they always follow me. And Naruto would be like, huh, yeah, I can see why that would happen. This is when Sasuke and Naruto would then begin to talk for a little bit, and Naruto would, by the end of the day, ask Sasuke if he's willing to go train with him after school, maybe. Sasuke would actually look at Naruto and be like, yeah, I'd be down. And this is when they would both basically go off to train after school. This is when they would both basically end off the day, and well, you know, they would end up finishing their training for the day, right? And this would basically lead to Naruto and Sasuke going home. And, you know, they would basically have this sort of routine for the next 2 months, seeing as this is when that Uchiha tension is basically brewing up. Naruto and Sasuke at this point have had their little spars in the class with Iruka Sensei and all that stuff, and Naruto won, to say the least. Naruto didn't even have to use his ki or his sword. He had to use absolutely none of that. Naruto quite literally stomped Sasuke with nothing but his bare physical strength. And I do want to point one thing out. Sasuke is not weak by any way, shape, or form. All of these characters are a lot stronger than they would be at 12 years old due to the fact that, well, they have 2 extra years, seeing as they're 14 at this point, to train. So in terms of the hand-to-hand combat, it's taijutsu. I mean, taijutsu and hand-to-hand combat is the same, but yeah, you get the point. Taijutsu and, ninjutsu, every single one of the students is a lot more adept than they would be in the original canon. That being said, Naruto and Sasuke would basically look at each other's direction as they would be walking into class. They would both basically be told by Iruka to spar, and Sasuke would look at Naruto as he would begin to rush at him. Naruto would get into a position similar to Goku's stance, and this is when Sasuke would rush at Naruto as he would throw a kick. Naruto would block it with his arm. He would grab Sasuke's leg and slam him into the ground, and immediately Naruto would then grab Sasuke by the like shirt that he wear and threw him out of the circle as Sasuke would get eliminated, and everybody in the class would just be like, Sasuke! They'd all be surprised that this kid was able to beat Sasuke. There's Sasuke-kun. And yeah, he definitely beat Sasuke. He obliterated Sasuke, to say the least. It's at this point that Naruto would walk over to Sasuke and extend his hand out as he would say, "You okay, Sasuke?" Sasuke would be like, "Yeah, I'm fine," as he'd be rubbing his head saying, "You didn't have to go that strong, Naruto." Naruto would look at Sasuke and say, "I sure did." As he would look at Sasuke, they would both basically get up, and this is when they would both go off to train. This would be the day of the Uchiha Massacre, where things would begin to change. This is when Sasuke would look at Naruto's direction, and they would both go train for the night. Sasuke would return home, and the events of the Uchiha Massacre would basically play as per usual. However, Sasuke would not return for the next week to school, and Naruto would of course be informed as to why. Naruto would have decided to give Sasuke some time to grieve and just be alone due to the fact that, well, if he would have just lost everything he ever knew and loved, he would definitely need some time. That being said, Naruto would, by the end of the week, decide that he's going to go say something to Sasuke, and he would knock on Sasuke's door as Sasuke would answer, and he would immediately close the door on Naruto, but Naruto would stick his foot inside of the door and be like, "Hey, we need to talk." Sasuke would look at Naruto and be like, "About?" And Naruto would look at Sasuke as he would just say, "Come on, Sasuke, I'm your best friend. If there's anything that you need to tell me, you can tell me, Sasuke. I heard about what happened." Sasuke would look at Naruto and say, "Yeah, and I saw what happened." As he would close the door on Naruto, Naruto would just stand outside of Sasuke's door as he would go over to one of the windows and open it. As it's at this point that Naruto would legit knock Sasuke out. He would literally bang him on the back of the neck. Hold on, pause. He would chop him on the back of the neck with his hand, and he would immediately tie Sasuke up on a chair. As this is when a couple of hours later, Sasuke would wake up. He'd be tied up, and Naruto would be sitting in front of him with a chair. As he's sitting in a very, when you guys like set up a chair, how you normally sit, and it's like your back is towards the chair. Well, Naruto would be the opposite of that, where, his belly is at the chair and he's like leaning forward a bit. He'd basically be like that. He'd look at Sasuke and just look at him as he would say, "Look, I know what happened, but you're not alone. Trust me, Sasuke. If you throw yourself in this loop where you believe that it's nothing but you and yourself, you're never going to get out of it. You're just going to be stuck here, thinking about nothing but revenge. But you have to remember, Sasuke, there's people around there who care about you. I'm someone who cares about you. And I don't think your parents would have wanted you to sit here sulking in your sorrows for this long." Sasuke would look at him as he would say, "You wouldn't know anything about it. How would you feel if I ripped everybody?" All that stuff. And Naruto would then look at Sasuke as he would say, "I don't need all of those people ripped away from me because you're the only one who's ever been there for me. You're the only one who's ever shown me any signs of kindness. I wasn't raised by anybody. My parents and my mother and father are both gone. You know this, Sasuke. You're not the only one who suffers." Sasuke would look at Naruto and be like, "Ugh." And this is when Naruto would look at him as he would say, "I'm not telling you this to make you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this to show you that you're not the only one in pain. Maybe I'm in pain too, but I can't just be angry at the world for it. You have to let it go. Sasuke would look at Naruto and say, what would you know about this? You didn't have any family to begin with. And Naruto would throw the chair at the walls. He would immediately sock Naruto straight in the jaw. Like, the man would dislocate it. And he would then be like, okay, sorry about that, Sasuke. As he would then like re-jam it right into place. Sasuke would be like, ah! And it's at this point that Sasuke would be cutting the rope that's restraining him. Sasuke and Naruto would then look at each other as Naruto's like, Sasuke, you need to calm. As Sasuke would rush at Naruto, he would have gotten free. Naruto would immediately take out his sword to Sasuke's kunai and he would block the attack. As Sasuke would tell him that if he's gonna be in his way, then he's not gonna be a friend anymore. As he would start rushing at Naruto with the intent to destroy the man. Naruto would start dodging each and every single one of the attacks, and this is when Naruto would blitz behind Sasuke as he would shoot a ki blast right at his back, burning his back. And this is when Naruto would proceed to basically slice Sasuke's back as he would leave a giant slash there, to which Sasuke would fall to the ground. Sasuke would then look at Naruto as he would slice up and almost cut Naruto's eye. But Naruto's reaction time would have slightly been just in time and he would end up dodging the attack. This would lead to Naruto then pointing his hand at Sasuke and his sword right at Sasuke's throat, as Sasuke would drop the kunai and just fall into tears. This is when Naruto would look at Sasuke and hug him, as they would both sit there for hours on end. And this is when Naruto and Sasuke would have a talk. Like, they would truly have the chance to talk about things. Sasuke and Naruto would come to the conclusion after a couple of hours that Naruto and Sasuke, they're both going to avenge the Uchiha. If Sasuke is going to go down this self-destructive path, then Naruto's going to be there taking every step of the way along with him. Sasuke's never going to be alone, especially if Naruto can help it. And Sasuke and Naruto would begin their training for the next 2 years. And the next part is going to be covering the next events of Naruto. If you guys enjoyed this part for What If Naruto Was a Saiyan, smash that like button, as I'm going to be needing 1,000 likes if you guys want me to continue the series in its entirety. After you guys hit 1,000 likes, I am not going to be asking for any more like goals, and you guys are 100% going to be getting the rest of the series, if the series does well. That being said though, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed my interpretation of What If Naruto Was a Saiyan. It's going to be a lot different than what you guys expect, and Naruto is going to be a hell of a badass in this version of events. That being said, it has been your boy Xehther. I love each and every single one of you guys. Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to share this video with a friend. It has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.